My name is Brittney Crawford and I am a kindergarten teacher, and my job is super busy, super active. So it requires me to be constantly moving. I'm standing on my feet all day. I'm up at the front of the room. I'm down on the floor at the back of the room. So it's exhausting, and especially with lipedema, because I'll come home from work, my feet are throbbing, my legs are full feeling, just really uncomfortable and very sore and very tired. I'm here to share my story and to help spread awareness about this disease so that maybe I can help even just one woman. Back around the time probably of puberty, when my body was starting to change and develop, I noticed that my top half was a different size than my bottom half. And my legs became very heavy, very tree trunk-like. This kind of continued on. I got married, and with the hormonal changes in my life with each child that I had, it began to get worse. There were certain things that I noticed. When I would sit down on the floor to play with my kids, my legs were so tender that if my children pushed on them or leaned on them, it hurt really bad, and it just seemed unusual. I also noticed a lot of bruises that I would have, and I never knew why. I never knew how the bruises got there. I didn't know what was causing them. They just felt really heavy when I would go to move around, and they became really painful. This continued on until about maybe 2 years ago when I went into early menopause. And then the symptoms that I had been noticing before just amped up. They increased. I also noticed that I was starting to gain weight. It didn't matter what diet I tried. I've tried so many. It didn't matter what exercise I tried. The weight would not come off. Psychologically too, it was really damaging. I just was beside myself. I could hardly dress myself. I had such a poor body image because I was so heavy down below and so much smaller on top. And then I started noticing too, within the last couple of years, that it was moving into my arms. And not so much this part, but this top part of my arms began to get really heavy. Throughout the years, I kept trying to research with my husband. He was noticing how my legs were getting worse and how they were changing. And I visited so many different kinds of doctors trying to figure out what was wrong.
I started doing research online, and when I would look at lymphedema and I would look at the description, I go, that's not Brittney, that's not the situation. It doesn't seem to match up quite right. Some of the symptoms are similar. Eventually, I found lipedema. When I read the descriptions, I knew immediately that this was it.
Not many people have heard of this disease. A lot of doctors have never heard of this disease. And I felt like I was having to advocate for myself to try to find the right doctor to try to figure out what this was. And so I have visited multiple doctors. And so I just kept meeting dead end after dead end. And it was heartbreaking and frustrating. I'd come home in tears from these doctors' offices, just feeling like there was no hope. And then that started to change when I had a conversation with my primary care doctor, and she was amazing. She has wonderful bedside manner, and she actually listened to me and believed me and advocated for me. And then from her recommendation, I was able to go see a therapist to get the MLD, the manual lymphatic drainage massage, and that made a difference. I woke up after going to therapy the first time. I woke up the next morning and I had ankles for the first time. So I was running around the house telling my whole family, I have ankles, because I hadn't seen them in so long. And so those visits timed out with insurance. And from there, I was able to get my Flexitouch machine. That was a turning point for me, because having that machine allowed me to do my own therapy in my own home. We need to get awareness out about this disease. Women need help. They need to be heard. women who look like me, who is smaller on the top than the bottom, who has painful legs that are tender and sore to the touch, who has bruising and swelling. Please help. We need help with this disease.